From ancient civilizations gazing at the stars to modern warriors navigating in the dark, mankind has been in constant pursuit to see in the dark. Welcome to an exploration in the extraordinary world of night vision. Today's video is all about the closer you look, the less you'll see. Hey, I'm PhoenixFeatherAirsoft and I'm an airsoft player from Germany. I make videos about gear and gameplays. If you want to upgrade your night vision setup from a bicycle helmet with duct tape and a lot of carrots, you came to the right place. Seeing in the dark is something everyone would like to do, and there are not that many affordable options. Tonight, I'm going to shed some light on the technology of night vision devices and its applications in airsoft. This is a very fascinating topic and a very deep rabbit hole to venture into. It was a long journey from the 1940s, where the first night vision appeared on a German tank, to today, where a night vision device can fit in the palm of your hand. It's full of crazy words and numbers and very daunting when first getting into it. I will try to make it as understandable as what we have here, the Wolf-14. Night vision NODs or NVGs are constant in today's pop culture. You see them all the time in movies and games. Some better than others, but we all know the distinct picture of the green screen a night vision does and the distinct sound it makes when you turn it on.
Bravo 6, going dark.
Do they actually work in absolute darkness? Will you be blinded if you look into a bright light source with a night vision device? And why is the picture you see green? Night vision is a technology that lets individuals see in low light or even in dark conditions. It does so by amplifying ambient light or detecting infrared radiation. Night vision devices come in all different sizes and shapes and forms. There's analog, there's digital, there's thermal, and there's hybrid. The cheapest and most common night vision devices are actually active illuminators. It's basically a flashlight that emits infrared light that can only be seen by the camera and not by the human eye. Think of this as your average security camera that is around everywhere, or your Ring doorbell, or a handheld camcorder with a night vision mode. But remember, if you use an IR illuminator, you can be seen by anyone who has the same or better technology. So right now we're filming through the DAW camera that uses an IR illuminator. You can already tell that the delay is pretty significant. That could lead you losing orientation and get motion sickness. The delay can never be faster than the frame rate of your camera. So probably with this, 1/50th. Probably better seen if I turn this on. You can really tell. I snap my finger here and it's take a little while. One of the many challenges of this video is actually filming in the dark, because cameras are bad at filming in the dark, and everyone knows in Hollywood they use tremendous amount of lights to light night scenes. It's actually really hard to film through night vision. For that, I use an adapter from Amazon that's like for your telescope to use, but it also works with night vision, as this just clips on the back, and then you can position your iPhone over it and you film basically the screen you would see with your eye with your iPhone. But it's always a hit or miss, and it's really hard to line it up properly. I'm also using the Brain Exploder night vision recorder, which is another little device with a little like action camera, run cam, that films also through the lens of the night vision. But just keep in mind that this is really a challenge to properly replicate what it actually looks like to looking through a night vision, and it will always look better with your eyes than my recordings. The light in to light out of an image intensifier tube is actually really fast, sometimes faster than microseconds. And that's the main factor for the price, the technology. Here's an inward example of Jan smoking a cigarette in the dark. Here we have a shot from a camera emulating the eyesight in the dark. The only thing we can really see is the lighting of the cigarette and the glimmer in the dark. That's what I can see more or less standing next to the camera. Next, we have the camera ISO, so the sensitivity of the camera to light, pushed to the max. This is more than an eye could see. The sensor is amplifying the light digitally. And the third one, we're looking through the night vision device. Literally a difference of day and night. This is an analog night vision device. It amplifies the light that is all around here in our scene and makes it more visible. With all these conditions in mind, let's look at the device in my hand, the Wolf-14. So what's actually in the box? This is the AGM Wolf-14 NL1. A durable and versatile night vision monocular that delivers great performance at a reasonable price. A more budget-friendly version to get you into night vision. AGM is a company located in Arizona, USA. What is especially interesting for me is that they have an European warehouse and office, so they can ship within Europe. So let's look at the device. The Wolf-14 is just slightly bigger than the PVS-14. The PVS-14 was for like years and years the golden standard of the US Army, so this is just a tiny little bit bigger. It's very rugged and compact. It can be head mounted or used handheld. It has an IP65 rating, which means it has the best dust protection there is, and additionally it can withstand low pressure water jets from all size. No, just a joke, it's right here. And it has a 3-year warranty. It has a 25mm lens with a 42-degree field of view and a built-in lens cover. That's the thing with all night vision. You're kind of limited in your field of view, and your vision might be impaired in a way that you don't have any peripheral vision because you're looking through a tube and you can't see out the side. And that's why they invented night vision with multiple tubes to give you a wider field of view. Like the panorama night vision that has 4 tubes gives you a way wider range of what your eye can actually see than 1 tube. You have to manually rotate the focus. The closest you can go is 25 centimeters to infinity. Because of the small aperture number of f1.2, which means big aperture opening, like a camera, the foreground will be very blurry if focused on the horizon and vice versa. So if you focus on something very close, the horizon will be blurry. The weight of the device is 241.5, and then with an AA battery that goes inside, we have a total weight of 265.05. This unit uses an AA battery, and it's extremely important that you always check that the orientation is the correct way. So this is why this is marked here. You pop that in, and this gives you around an operating time of 40 hours. Always remove the battery after usage and never store your night vision with the battery inside. With the little adapter, you can either use a CR123A battery or a AA battery. This device uses a single operating knob. On, only the image intensifier is working. IR, the built-in IR illuminator is on. For example, if there is insufficient neutral light. For what we use that at a later time. Automatic mode. Automatic mode works with a light sensor. If it's too dark, the IR illuminator will be turned on. If it's too bright, the device will shut down to protect the photosensitive components. Unfortunately, it doesn't make a sound when you turn it on. It's not the satisfying sound we know from movies and games. The Wolf-14 can be equipped with a high-performance Gen 2 Plus image intensifier tube in green or white phosphor.
I'm running my bike like this. What's up, Phoenix fam? This is a lot of fun.
But what's actually in the box? We have the device, a Rhino mount, and a J-arm. What does Gen 2 actually mean? A brief history on night vision. Generation 0. Night vision was first developed by the Germans in the 1940s and first appeared on Panther tanks in the Second World War. The devices were huge and they couldn't amplify any light. They could only detect infrared light that they would emit. After Generation 0, we had Generation 1. And with Generation 1, they moved away from active illumination and went into the amplifying world. Generation 1 first appeared in the Vietnam War, and they were usually mounted on rifles. They needed an immense amount of ambient light, and they wouldn't work at cloudy nights or moonless nights. And the light amplification was around 1,000 times. Generation 2 had a major breakthrough with the microchannel plate, the MCP. Instead of accelerating the electrons, they could now be amplified, and with that resulting in much brighter and clearer image, even in very low light environments. Light amplification was around 25,000 times. In Generation 3, the photocathode was made out of gallium arsenide, which was way more efficient than converting photons into electrons. The microchannel plate also had an iron barrier film on it now, which helped to improve the lifespan of the tube. Light amplification is now up to 30 to 55,000 times. Generation 4 is considered filmless and gated technology. They removed the iron barrier on the microchannel plate from Generation 3, which made it more fragile but gave them a better signal-to-noise ratio and overall performance and resolution. Due to the fragility, it's only used in aviation and with special forces, and it shouldn't be mounted. Generation 4 creates the cleanest and brightest image even in the most low-light environments. Gen 4 is not an official rating. Another thing about the term generation. It is not a word that describes the performance of a tube. We will cover this later on in the video, and we're going to go in all the details of what's actually going on inside a night vision device, including the most common terms. So what can night vision be used for? Of course, airsoft. There's more and more airsoft games at night, and I have to tell you, I've been to a couple even without night vision, and it's so much fun. It's kind of a completely different game when you play at night because there's so much different stuff going on. And if you can see in the dark, you're truly Sam Fisher, and you can sneak around and like surprise people in from the dark, and this is so awesome. It's so much fun. I recommend it to everyone. And of course, hunting is a big thing too. Yeah, here in hunting, they most usually use like thermal devices to spot stuff in the dark and to see different kinds of animals. But for navigating and then also spotting stuff, it can be a real help to have some night vision on the spot. But we agree, the coolest thing about knots is getting a snack at night without turning the lights on. And nighttime hikes. I heard of many people who have actually knots, night vision, that going out and hiking, going on a walk at night in the dark is actually so much fun, and they do it all the time because you can just stand in nature and just look at the nighttime sky. And that's one of the most amazing things. Not only to see in the dark, but also to look up into the nighttime sky and seeing all those stars and all this light that gets also amplified. You can see a mesmerizing array of stars. It's truly breathtaking. You will forever remember the first time you look through night vision into the nighttime sky because you can see so much more of the Milky Way. It's truly mesmerizing and stargazing at its best. But what does it actually mean, the light gets amplified? So now let's look at how a night vision actually works. Image intensifier tubes are a real-time continuous analog device that amplify light. First, we have to look at how we make such a device, where we look through and we can see at night. It's actually not that easy because we can't just take light and make it stronger. It's easy to make light less strong if we're looking through something. That's actually sunglasses. But the other way around is actually quite tricky. On the other hand, electricity is very easy to boost. On one side, we have a small electronic current, and it comes out a big electronic current. And in the middle, we have an amplifier. For example, a hearing aid or the sound of a guitar filling an entire stadium. So what they did is they took light and converted it over into electricity, then boosted this electricity and converted it back into light. And as crazy as this sounds, this is actually how they make night vision. Dim light of a night scene enters the front lens. Light is made of photons of all colors. The photons enter the goggle and strike a light-sensitive surface, the photocathode. A very sensitive and precise solar panel. It converts a photon into an electron. So one photon becomes one electron. So we're turning an image into electricity. And these are accelerated through a voltage, so made faster. These electrons are then amplified by a photomultiplier called the multi-channel plate, the MCP. So we have little electrons going in, and on the other side we have many electrons coming out. And how that works is the multi-channel plate is basically a very, very thin glass piece that has millions of tiny little holes in it that are angled at a 5-degree angle. And every time a photon hits the multi-channel plate, it gets amplified. So we have one electron going in, and every time it collides with the multi-channel plate, it attracts more electrons. So every time it hits, it's getting more. And it hits the other side and it becomes more. And when it comes out, we have overall more electrons than we had in the beginning. So each electron going in results in more electrons coming out, and that's the avalanche effect. And then these electrons get even more accelerated by a higher voltage and then hit a phosphor screen right here, the green phosphor screen, which is similar to an old-fashioned TV. Every time an electron hits here, we have a little tiny flash of the green phosphor lighting up as it detects the radiation of the electrons. This all happens in the first couple millimeters of the image intensifier tube. The rest of the space of the image intensifier tube is the optical twist, where millions and millions and millions of tiny little fibers flip the image back upside down so the eye can see it right side up. Because there are now more photons than originally entered, we have an overall brighter image of the original scene. But it is green because of the phosphorus screen right here. And that's how night vision works. When photons are first converted into electrons, they lose the information of color. And then the commonly used phosphor screen at the end produces a green image. It has been argued that the human eye sees the most nuances of the color green, and that it's the most pleasing to the human eye. But according to the Iowa State University study, fluorescent penetrant sensitivity and removability, we can also see a shift into the blue color range. The normal curve peaks at 555 nanometers, which means that under normal lighting conditions, the eye is the most sensitive to a yellowish to green color. The curve on the right shows the eye's response under normal lighting conditions. It's called the photopic response. But we're not under normal lighting conditions. We're under dark lighting conditions. As light levels drop near total darkness, the eye's response changes significantly, as shown by the scotopic response curve on the left. At this very low light level, sensitivity to blue, violet and ultraviolet is increased, but sensitivity to yellow and red is decreased. This is probably why we are seeing a shift to white phosphor as a screen that gives us a bluish tinted image. This seems much more natural to the human eye under dark lighting conditions. There's one downside to image intensifier tubes, because they need some kind of light to actually amplify. It can be super teeny tiny, but they need something. And if they don't have that, we have a problem. And that's actually where an active illuminator shines, because that's basically a flashlight that only the night vision can see. So what do you actually see if you look through a night vision device in absolute complete darkness with no outside light? If we're going into a room without any light source, we can still see some noise happening here. On the footage it's really hard to see, but with my naked eye I can still see some light flashes coming through every now and then. And that is actually still electrons that are escaping the metal housing, and some are being pulled in there because of the strong magnetic field inside the unit. But without any light source or any active illumination the device can detect or amplify, we cannot see anything. This is the advantage of active illuminators, and is why NVGs have an IR illuminator that can be used in closed rooms without any windows where there's no photons at all, so no light. Just remember that using infrared will make you look like a lit Christmas tree to anyone else under night vision. It's a beam of light outside the wavelength of an eye can see, but night vision can see it. But what happens if there's too much light? We all know that scene in the movies where someone switches a light on and everyone with night vision is blinded.
Industrial strength night vision goggles.
That's actually why we have manual and auto-gated image intensifier tubes. Manual gain means that the device has a knob where you can increase and decrease power, which means you get a more amplified, so brighter image, or a darker image. With this, if someone shines a bright light at you, the image maybe look washed out because there's too many photons to be amplified. This can potentially damage your tube if you're outside and pointed, for example, at the sun. Don't ever do that. So with manual gain, the device will usually drop resolution to protect the tube. So they came up with the auto-gated feature. The auto-gated feature is a new system that is basically 4 to 8 years old. The automatic gated power supply allows the photocathode to switch on and off really rapidly, thereby enabling the night vision device to react to any change of lighting conditions within an instant. This capability is actually a very critical advancement in night vision device systems, because it allows the user to go very easily from a high light to a low light and a low light to a high light environment without any halting effects. So basically what's happening, the device is dimming itself up and down while shutting on and off really rapidly. The naked eye can't see it. Basically very similar to a refresh rate of a monitor. The only argument for manual gained systems these days is if you're in an urban environment and you want to see past a light fixture, for example. In an urban environment, an auto-gated device will directly dim down and you can't really see past like a light pole or something. And with manual gain, the image would still be bright to see in the shadows past the street light. Let's have another direct comparison between the camera and the night vision device. Here I'm lighting myself with the phone light, first of the screen and then the back flashlight. The camera ISO is at 800 and is more or less how I would look with my naked eye. Next up, we have the camera ISO pushed to the max to 102,400. This is the maximum my camera can handle. This is more than the naked eye can see. The camera does a good job amplifying the light. And then again, in comparison, the night vision device is a complete different league. We can see everything. And we can also see the IR light the front camera fires off onto my face because it wants to do Face ID. And we can see how much of a dead giveaway a watch light would be when I turn on my watch. And here I'm trying to hide in the dark bushes. Now it's time for you to choose your night vision device. But because they're analog and their image intensifier tubes are always a tiny little bit different from each other, they're like individual snowflakes, we need a system to categorize and compare them. Not like a phone or a camera with pixel resolution, but with line pairs per millimeter. How many line pairs can an image intensifier tube resolve within 1 millimeter of space? A military grade tube would at least need 64 lines per millimeter. This test has some margin of error as it's actually done by a person looking at different line pair charts as a bar test. Today, everyone uses FOM or FOM, figure of merit, to grade different kinds of image intensifier tubes and get a quick reference on their quality. This is a very finicky thing and there are many parts involved, so the FOM number doesn't tell the whole story. Originally, it was used to identify which image intensifier tubes were allowed to be exported from the US. FOM means figure of merit and is a number calculated from two numbers. Signal to noise ratio multiplied by the resolution of the image intensifier tube, which we just found out in the line pairs experiment. The higher the figure of signal to noise ratio is, the less noise or more image resolution you get in low light environments, and the ability of the tube to clearly resolve an image. A normal range is from 27 to 37 and it's the most important single metric to see the low light performance, even though it's impacted by multiple different elements of the device. So from this we would agree that the higher FOM number unit would perform better in low light. So let's look at the device under test conditions. For that we printed out a little grid to see exactly how the lens perform to replicating this. And we can see that the footage actually looks a little bit distorted, but this is mostly through the iPhone lens. If I look through it with my naked eye, I can make some unsharpness towards the edges of the frame, but overall the grid is absolutely straight and we have no chromatic aberration at all. The pincushion effect is probably through the lens of the iPhone that is so close to the unit. If we're looking at the urban lighting test where there is light sources available, which is most often the case if you would run night vision, there's going to be a light source somewhere. We can see here how the device handles the light, and we also look at flare resistance and see how well the tube can preserve detail in the presence of a bright light source. In direct contrast, a forest test in a rural environment, we can see chromatic aberration is here also, even if we had it, a less of an issue because there's no bright lights that could cause them. It's a little bit half moon, but other than that, there's no light sources and it's really, really dark. With the naked eye, I couldn't see anything. How is the image? I think it resolves really well and the detail is rendered decently. Remembering the price point, is this perfectly adequate? You decide for yourself. If you're in the market for a night vision device, it ultimately comes down to your budget. Night vision technology is expensive because of its complexity. But the Wolf-14 strikes the perfect balance between decent performance and budget-friendly price. This is aimed at airsofters who want night vision without breaking a bank. It's basically a sweet spot that allows you to enter the world of night vision without having an active illuminator unit. It may not be the top of the range, but it's going to be perfect for beginners who wants to get their toes wet with night vision. The Wolf-14's performance is absolutely decent, and it basically covers everything we would encounter in an airsoft game. Whether you're playing with friends in the dark or you use it for other recreational hobbies or whatever you're doing, the Wolf-14 gets the job done. When choosing a night vision device for yourself, remember some factors. Do you want a monocular? Do you want a binocular night vision device? What kind of image intensifier tube do you want and are willing to pay for, and what kind of housing do you want? Remember that higher costs not always give you better performance, so look at numbers like resolution and FOM figure of merit to compare different units. Ultimately, it's for your personal experience and what you are comfortable with. Make the decision that's right for you and then enjoy exploring the night. But guys, let's be honest, night vision is cool and cool is expensive. So smash that subscribe button and I'm gonna see you in the next video.